Good, good morning, and welcome to Investigate Everything. This is my favorite segment of Investigate Everything. This is our special episodes with our sponsor, Birch Gold. Always happy to see Phillip Patrick because I am an investor in gold, and I always want to keep on top of what's going on with the gold market. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. No matter what happens in any election, Kamala wins, Trump wins, and Philip might correct me, but it seems to me that gold just keeps going up every, year on year on year. For example, had you invested in gold around November 6th of 2023, you'd be up roughly $650 to $750 an ounce, if not more. There's been a quick correction after the Trump win. I'm going to let the expert Philip Patrick kind of explain that to you. You guys know Philip Patrick. He needs no introduction. Let me just add him to the stage so you can learn from the expert rather than listening to me, and we'll learn together. So, Philip, welcome back. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor always.
Oh yeah. So wow. I'm super happy. I'll never ask people how they voted or which candidate they favored, whether they vote or not. But great victory for Donald Trump. And I've talked to a lot of amateur investors, and they're like, "Oh man, gold went down after Trump won because he favors, Bitcoin, and people are moving back into a stronger U.S. dollar." And when I went, first thing I did is I went back and looked at the previous Donald Trump administration, the 4 years, and gold still went up. So welcome back. And just really quickly, Philip is a precious metals specialist at Birch Gold. Birch Gold is our sponsor. And before we get going, just remember everything you want to learn, including having access to the experts at Birch Gold, whether you're invested in gold or not. It's a really great time to move your IRA over there. I have. You can text Daily Clout to 989898 right there at the bottom of the screen. And without much further ado, give us a lay of the land, Philip.
So it's been an interesting week. Obviously, as you say, a very good victory for President Trump, and I think from an economic standpoint, long term, it's the victory we needed. Markets are responding with volatility. We're seeing mixed signals across the board. Stocks rallied shorter term, I think, sort of bracing themselves for some tax cuts. And of course, the market shorter term always respond well to that. We saw mortgage rates shoot up over 7%. So mortgage rates have been increasing despite the fact that the Federal Reserve have been lowering rates. We saw volatility in commodity prices, a little bit of downside in gold. It's ticked up a little bit since then. So volatility, I think, is to be expected. We don't know quite how this thing's going to iron out. What I think the markets do understand longer term, this is a very different proposition for President Trump today than it was back in 2016. He is going to be fighting a bureaucracy. He has much tougher economic challenges on his hands. And I think it's going to be a very tough ship to turn around. Now, I think he can do it. I don't think we'll feel the effects of it for a while, but there's not a better man for the job.
Yeah, for sure. And I hear what you're saying. There's so much to fix. And I do worry about the amazing amount, the unprecedented amount of debt that we now have, and on the side of gold, what I'm seeing is Trump got elected as pretty clean win across the board, and then gold kind of went down a little bit, which makes sense. I mean, if people think the dollar is going to be stronger and other things, they're going to move more into those kind of riskier stocks under a stronger leader. That's pretty typical. But I've seen this before. It's almost the exact same pattern. Whereas in 2015, 2016, we saw gold have a spike and then it leveled off and then it went back up. Right now we're seeing it leveling off, which for me, I look at that as a great time to buy gold because you're saving some money and you can get more of it. How do you feel about my analysis here?
Look, I agree. It depends on what's driving gold down, right? If it's fundamentals and we expect those fundamentals to continue, then for me, it's not the opportunity to buy. If it is volatility, uncertainty, but the fundamentals remain the same, then of course it's an opportunity. And I think what we're seeing is the latter. Listen, the economic fundamentals are no different today than they were a week ago. And like I said, President Trump has a very difficult job. You and I have discussed many times in the past spending, for example. Well, let's understand the fiscal basket case that President Trump is walking into. Washington borrowed from July to September $762 billion.
Wow.
In the upcoming quarter, so Trump's first quarter in office, January through March, the Treasury plans to borrow another $823 billion. That is the largest amount ever for a single quarter. Now, the overall federal shortfall was 1.83 trillion for the fiscal year of 24, which ended in October. That's the third highest on record. But if nothing else, we need to look at the trend, right? The numbers are increasing, 762 to 823 billion. That is the wrong direction. Now, the problem that I see is there are two ways out of this issue, right? One is austerity, right? Higher taxes, lower spending, and a broad economic contraction. The other is growth, right? Make smart investments funded by debt that improve the economy. Now, thinking about things from Trump's perspective, broadly speaking, he is an upside guy. He is not a downside guy, right? He doesn't have the appetite for austerity. He's a deal maker, right? He likes the idea of leverage, and he's used it successfully in his career and in creating his empire. So the hope with the Trump administration is that economic growth will outperform debt growth. But that is the long-term goal, and there are short-term costs associated with it. The other thing we have to factor in, he will be fighting a bureaucracy. They will be putting up roadblocks. They will be slowing down the process. So it's going to be a really tough job. Then we can look at his policies and understand that they're longer term in nature as well. So I don't think we're going to see what we saw back in 2016, right? In 2016, it was go, go, go. The economy was starting to fire again. Interest rates were low. We were pumping money through the economy. There's a lot of things outside of good leadership that created a strong environment for growth. We do not have those fundamentals today.
Hey parents, I have an early Christmas and holiday gift for you. We've all been there. 1 minute your child is bouncing off the walls, perfectly healthy, and an hour later, this child is very sick. You feel helpless, and it can turn your plans upside down, especially on vacation. After thousands of customer requests, the wellness company has just launched the Kids Emergency Medical Kit. You no longer have to deal with emergency illnesses in a panic. Now you can have 6 critical medications at your fingertips to treat 20 plus illnesses for issues children have, such as strep throat, ear infections, lice, and respiratory illnesses. You can avoid urgent care and hospitals. The Kids Emergency Kit has been hand-selected by the wellness company's medical board and includes chewable amoxicillin, dissolvable ivermectin, and an optional EpiPen and more. This also includes a detailed guidebook guiding you step by step in emergencies. Ordering this kit is simple. Only parents can order for their children. Fill out an intake form and you will get a verification call for consent. Then it's delivered to your door. Don't wait till you're in the middle of a crisis and avoid late-night urgent care runs. Order your kids' emergency kit today and remove panic from your life. And if 1 or 2 of the prescriptions run out, there's a replenishment option to restock only what you need. Go to dailyclouthealth.com and grab your kids' emergency kit right now. Use code DailyClout to save up to $40 at checkout. These kits are only available in the USA. Thank you.
Gotcha. And so my I guess my it's kind of like fantasy football, like if you're invested in gold, there's certain things that happen that make your investment better, but they could be bad for your country. They could be bad for your dollar, which, in gold's case, it seems to kind of float above a lot of stuff. It's affected, but never long term. It's just going constantly. I mean, when I was a kid, I remember gold was like 200, 300 an ounce. So the other question I had written down, so there's no real good segue into this. I'll just jump right into it. We talked in the past about what the central banks are doing, buying up gold. China did a rush on gold, buying it up. So a two-part question. What are the central banks, those very same central banks, doing now as of a month ago? And what are we doing as America? Are we buying up gold as well, or is everyone else buying up gold and we're letting them do it?
It's mostly being driven by foreign governments today. US gold reserves have been fairly static, so this is being driven by foreign governments. Nothing has slowed over the last month. We're getting third.
So they keep buying.
Continue to buy. Listen,
okay.
This is the one area that I'm not confident that Trump can really help longer term. And by the way, I say that because he's limited by the political system. And I've mentioned this sort of concept before, but there's two catalysts to de-dollarization. One is money printing and the devaluation of the dollar, which has made it less attractive for foreign governments. Through smart decisions, longer term, we may be able to get a handle on that. That's a tough one. But the other side of it is weaponization, right? We have stepped up sanctions. International sanctions led by the US have increased by 900% since 2001. So we've been using them more and more and more frequently. That's the area, weaponization, that I'm not confident Trump can really help with. Listen, for Russia to come off a dollar-based system, it took a lot of pain and hardship, and their economy is now thriving. They know Trump's out in 4 years, right? And they have an unknown following that. They're not going to go through the pain to sort of break their new trade partnerships, start trading again with the West, to have to de-dollarize again in 4 years. The beacon has been lit there. And that's what I say. It took us 200 years to build the faith and credit in the US dollar required for a global reserve currency. And it appears that Biden has destroyed that in 4 years. The beacons have been lit with that one, and I don't think Trump or anyone else can stop it.
So how will this continued march away from us really? How does that affect people's retirements if they're invested in things like, let's say, your typical mutual fund is going to have a little crypto, a lot of like BlackRock type stocks, a lot of type of mezzanine type of investments. What do you see the typical mutual fund doing as this march continues? And is gold a good strategy to be part of your portfolio, all of your portfolio? How do you guys normally recommend to just protect?
Certainly diversification. We don't typically recommend people put all of their eggs in any one basket, no matter what that basket is. Look, my big concern is a stagflationary climate, right? We saw it in the 1970s through to the 1980s. Look at Goldman Sachs. They came out recently with a big report. It made mainstream news, predicting that the market will show 1% positive growth average over the next decade. That would be an unmitigated disaster. Now factor in that since inception, the Federal Reserve have averaged 4% inflation annually. That would mean 3% loss to inflation on an annual basis over the next decade. That is a very painful situation to be in. Money functionally, or buying power functionally, reducing over a 10-year period is tough storm to weather. The last time we had a stagflationary climate, 70s to 80s, it was a very tough decade, as many can remember. Gold grew tenfold in that time period. So these climates drive gold. By the way, US dollar was the king in the 1970s. We're slowly losing that status. So all of these considered, it is a very good climate for gold. And I think I've said in the past, for the 20th century, you didn't buy gold for growth relative to something like the S&P. It didn't grow. This century, it's a very different story, and it coincides with a large increase in the money supply.
Without a doubt. And like I said, when we opened up, I always, people will ask me about Birch Gold, and they're like, well, how do I know it's for real? And it's like, you don't have to worry about that. They're looking any Fortune magazine, looking at any people rating gold, and you guys are always in the top 5. I said, that's never an issue. I said, but as an investor, just like you said, yeah, you're right. Gold used to be the place you parked things to keep them safe, but you never really expected to grow. But like I said in the opening, when I talk to people now, I just show them the chart, and I show them not only the month or the 3 month or the 1 year, I show them the year all time chart, and it's and I've never seen it like that. And really, if you think about it, the growth since last year is what, like 33%?
Correct.
No one has those kind of returns. It's amazing. But my concern is, it's good for the gold price, I guess. If everyone else is buying it up, there's less gold to buy. But at the same time, that seems to me it would create a time limit. Like, if they keep buying it, it's going to be gone. Then you can't invest in it. Is that a possibility, or would you have to invest through some other market?
Look, for right now, supply is there, and the higher the price goes, the further down the mines can go, the higher the cost of, or average cost of production can be. So we're eking out supply, but it's certainly getting harder and more expensive to do it. The real drivers obviously are supply and demand, and that's the very interesting part of this. Demand is not letting up on a global scale, and I think that will continue. The other thing is just drivers in terms of fundamentals. Listen, the markets responded obviously to a Trump victory, but I think it was driven predominantly by tax cuts. If we look at the fundamentals of the economy, of course, they are no different today than they were a week ago, right? So then what we have to look at is the policies being put into place. Trump's economic policies, in my humble opinion, absolutely better than Kamala's proposed plan, because Kamala's plan was another 4 years of Bidenomics on steroids, handouts, money spending, tax increases, none of which work. But the premise of her policy, shorter term gain for longer term pain, right? Let's put money in everyone's hands, let's make everyone happy, and let's create an unsolvable debt problem, right?
If she handles the economy like she handled the budget of her campaign, I think we dodged a bullet here.
We dodged a bullet, to say the least, right? So that's honestly, this short-term gain for long-term pain, that is why we are in the trouble we are today. It's been consistent policies based on that premise. Trump is the reverse, right? Think about what his policies actually are, right? So he wants to impose tariffs, 10% tariff on goods across the board, 60% tariff on goods made in China. Listen, it's the reverse premise. Shorter term, these policies will drive prices up. They are absolutely inflationary. It's not China that's going to pay the tariffs, it's the US consumer. Now, what that does longer term is it incentivizes the US consumer to seek out US made goods, which allows us to build our economy in the right way. But like I said, it is the opposite of Kamala's policies. It is shorter term pain for longer term gain. And, the thing that I really appreciate is we're hearing it from the administration already. What did we hear from Biden and Kamala for 4 years? Hey, the economy's great. This is the best economy you've ever seen in your lives. And it wasn't matching our reality. We were getting gaslit for 4 years. This administration is saying the opposite. Elon Musk, who may have a government post in charge of government efficiency, he said, and I'm going to quote, Americans will suffer hardship under their leadership. He said, and this is a direct quote again, most importantly, we have to reduce spending to live within our means. And he said, these efforts will involve some temporary hardship,
Yep.
but will ensure long-term prosperity. Okay, that's leadership, right? We haven't had a president willing to do that since Reagan. And like I said, it's why we need to go through this. But anybody thinking that this is going to be rainbows and unicorns
Yeah.
in 4 years,
Yep.
I think this ignoring the facts. Now, it's encouraging, but the problems have not gone away.
Hey everyone, it's Naomi Wolf. We are excited about our new sponsor, Native Path. Native Path's collagen formula is scientifically backed to increase bone mineral density, accelerate tissue recovery, reduce wrinkles, enhance hair thickness, and strengthen weak or damaged nails. Who wouldn't want more collagen with these benefits? So you can get an incredible 45% off today, plus free shipping. Every order comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it risk-free, and you really, really should. Are you interested in moving easily and independently without pain or stiffness? Do you want to look in the mirror and see a glow rather than fine lines and wrinkles? So you really need to find out about Native Path Collagen, made only with type 1 and type 3 collagen fibers, the two most important types that make up 90% of the collagen in your body. It is completely flavorless and can be added to anything. Coffee, I add it to smoothies, you can add it to oatmeal, and it makes it bioavailable, so it's absorbed more easily and mixes perfectly. It's kind of an amazing product. Honestly, I just started using it a few days ago. No fillers, no additives, no artificial sweeteners, and they third-party test for heavy metals. What is kind of amazing is that it really does. It makes me want to work out, which never happens. It has made me feel much more energetic, and it's I do struggle with the spinal issue, and I honestly have felt much more kind of buoyant and resilient since I began mixing Native Path collagen into my smoothie every day. So I can't praise this enough. I love it. There are 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, 8,000 5-star reviews, and a no-risk guarantee. That's the kind of product that we at Daily Clout love to recommend. A product that's tried and tested. I simply cannot recommend it enough. So go to getnativepath.com // daily clout. That's getnativepath.com / daily clout, and stock up. You will find it transformational. I have. And thank you so much, Native Path, for being our new sponsor. And thank you for supporting our wonderful sponsor, Native Path.
Well, you do make a really good point about, them being honest and transparent about the austerity that, Americans will have to exercise. Here's the good news. Thanks to the Biden-Kamala administration wrecking our economy, driving prices through the roof, from eggs to gas, I think most of the Trump voters have been living under that, have been pulling back, have not been... I don't think it's going to be as much of a shock to Trump voters, the typical Trump voter, as it is going to be as, maybe someone who voted for Kamala, especially the laptop class.
I agree vehemently, but listen, we're not children, right? Like we understand we have a brain on us, and for somebody to say, look, we've been living beyond our means for a long time.
Yeah.
We're going to have to tighten the belt buckle. We're going to have to get through this. That's all we need to hear. We can get through it. But I think what really frustrated people was this gaslighting consistently, over and over and over again, telling us not to believe our lying eyes. That's the nonsense. Give us the truth. It's a bitter pill. We can swallow it, right? We did it under Volcker in the 80s. We got through it as a nation, and we prospered. We prospered for 20 years, right? But no one's been willing to do that for a long time. I personally am encouraged, and I say bring on the hard times, because the sooner they come, the better the good times come. But
and Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm passionate here, obviously, but anyone
I
that
love
thinks
it.
that things just go up and up and up and up and up indefinitely, it is not how things work. So it's time to get through it and to start taking that bad medicine.
Absolutely. And I agree with everything you said. And, and that's why I like gold as an investment, because the more you kind of protect your money in something that they just can't mess up, that meaning, the Biden Harris types, the neo-Marxists, whatever you want, that's my words, but whatever you want to call them, they can't really mess up that market because it's more than just the United States. And I love that there's a place where people can protect their money while they go through, there's going to be some political upheavals, I'm sure, in the midterms and things like that, but it's protected. And the less we're exposed to another Biden type regime, especially in our investments, the more we can focus on what we need to do to, as a country, bring this economy back and make us better than we've ever been. And that's why I love gold. I look at gold as part of my parallel economy strategy. Like, okay, got a place to put my investments that's safe. They can't touch it. I've got a mechanic who will fix my car. In return, I do background investigations for him because I'm an investigator. And the more we have of that, especially with our investments, the better off people are going to be. And the more they can get behind, doing what it takes to their part to bring this country forward, like you just articulated. So, I know you have a hard stop, and I don't want to keep you. But really quickly, I did notice on the Birch Gold site, you guys have a special offer right now with these silver coins. Can you talk about that just really quickly?
We do have an offer. For every $5,000 purchase, we're giving all of your viewers a free Trump fight silver coin. It's a really cool coin. It's with Trump's hand in the air, and it's free for your viewers. Look, it shouldn't be the driver for people to come in, right? There are many reasons outside of a free silver coin to be looking at precious metals.
Of course.
But I think it's a nice bonus on top. So we try and do that every so often just to encourage people to take that step. But,
and it's a historic moment. So that's how I look at it.
Well,
Philip Patrick,
gotten me one yet. Did they give you one? Everyone's got one apart from me.
Well, I need to check my mailbox. We have a couple places we live, so I've got a few mailboxes to check. So, but I'm surprised you haven't gotten one. You should be the first person to get one.
They're looking after our customers before our staff, but that's
good management. Good management. Well, maybe you'll get like a gold one though. You never know. So. Well, Philip Patrick, it's always a pleasure to see you. Want to talk to you more often than I normally do moving forward, because it's going to be a really interesting year to watch gold, but to watch everything. And I love your views on the economy and the outlook and your strategic thinking. So I really, really appreciate it. And so do my viewers. And how do people find you, Philip Patrick?
So very simple, at Philip Patrick on Getter, Philip Patrick.
Yep. And don't forget also to get over to Birch Gold. You could just text 989898, text Daily Clout. You're going to get that free info kit. I would love to just kind of display the info kit, but you should really get it for yourself. I don't want to violate any copyrights or anything like that, but it is a really good kit. I have it downloaded on my computer and my phone, and I'm trying to be a gold expert by the end of the this calendar year. So with your help, Philip, I'm going to get there. All right. Well, pleasure to see you, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you, Brian. Take care. Have a great day. All right.